What is up, Carolina Panthers fans? Hopefully you guys are ready for this one. Today, we're doing a little bit something different. I'm looking at Panthers Reddit because I want to see what you guys are talking about with our Carolina Panthers. So without further ado, let's do a reaction that absolutely makes my skin crawl.
Hey, I thought it was all over.
Nope.
They roll coverage.
This one is brought to us by Less Measurement 3406 over on the Panthers subreddit. Potential hot take: I don't want Jalon Walker or Jalon Walker. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm sure he'll be a hell of a fine player in the league, but I think he's just too risky for the Panthers to take. Going completely off topic here, I couldn't agree with you more. Poor run defense, coverage, experience, inconsistent pass rush, although I think his pass rush ability is his best trait. For me, I would much rather trade up for Abdul Carter or trade down/stay put for an equally valuable defensive player like Walter Nolan, Jihad Campbell, or Will Johnson. I won't be surprised if the Panthers take Walker, but I hope for the best, but I just don't personally see it. I am absolutely right there with you, bud. In fact, I just did a full all-22 breakdown on it, and to be honest, Jalon Walker is a bit of a tough cookie. I honestly might put Jihad Campbell ahead of him in basically everything other than edge rushing, but even then, if you go look at that first Texas game he did, the first 2 sacks are really the tackle giving up the sack, less than him really winning the rep. So for that reason, I'm going to hinder his edge rushing ability a little bit. I just don't feel like he's the pick, but there's more than one Panthers fan in the subreddit, so let's find out what other people had to say. From Farden Quack 22, there's a reason why we aren't GMs. Let the DM, I think he means GM, do his thing. I mean, there's a lot of GMs that are going to get fired every day. Look at Joe Shane a few years ago, letting Saquon walk to the Eagles. To be fair, there will be a lot of dudes who are GMs that make incredibly stupid choices. Could not agree more. I'm not saying that Walker is a bad move, but blindly trusting anybody just because they are a GM is a terrible idea. Couldn't agree with you more, bud. But obviously, this is a really big decision for us, especially with Carolina's defensive problems. There's so much for us to change. There is so much for us to grow with. And I don't think a project linebacker is something we need right now. I need some guy that can actually go out there and help us, not only in coverage, but in pass rush. So I kind of need a little bit of both. I just don't feel like Walker's that guy for Carolina. Okay, this is why I hate this time of year. Everybody who has a Reddit account is now a better GM than NFL teams have. LMAO. I stopped following the pre-draft process a few years ago outside of very basic coverage I get on Twitter. I get doing mocks can be fun, but it's absurd how inaccurate they always are. I mean, yeah, of course, people are always going to have the Zach Wilson, should have been #1 pick, and just crazy ones. But hey, the draft process is how we build teams long-term, how we develop, and how we are able to push a better product long-term. Obviously, I'm saying we, meaning like the NFL. I absolutely wish I was an owner, but yeah, these walls don't look like they're millionaire, or should I say billionaire walls. Cash Burrow jumps in. I get why people get tired of it, but this is honestly the best part of the offseason for me. I love prospect discussion because you form opinions, and then as players develop in the league, you get to look back and see how right or wrong you were. I get that ultimately none of our opinions matter, but that's true of any aspect of fandom, not just the draft. Obviously, the response says, fair point, never really thought of it that way. I couldn't agree more. It's really just to kind of measure up and see where people are going. Obviously, if people have poor drafting, we look at the Bill Belichick's with skill players. That matters, especially if you're building a team for 5, 10, or longer. Obviously, Dave Canales is going into his 2nd year with this team. Dan Morgan, 2nd year as GM. So there's a lot still kind of to develop, a lot still more kind of to go. And right now, I think that with that, we need to brace for what's about to come. And overloading on reach guys in the defensive side of the ball is not really it. I'd honestly much rather see us go offense. Chris Sims actually had a great quote about it. I'm going to put it up right here.
The best way to get fired, though, if you're Dave, is to not putting points on the board.
Oh, sorry, I got it wrong. Chris Collinsworth. Regardless, there's so much, dude. Dave Canales, as an offensive guy with Brett Idzik, needs to go out there and put out a positive product. Defense might be the way to go with the 1st round pick, but that 2nd or 3rd round pick, we're absolutely going to see a wide receiver or a tight end. I'm obviously hoping for a Higgins. I'm hoping for a Royals. There's a few guys that I would obviously love to get, or hey, trade up to 33 and try and steal an Egbuka, or try and steal a Luther Burden. So I think there's so much opportunity on the offensive side of the ball. We're going to give up assets. Let's hop into that high second and then grab one of the guys that we really, really love, as opposed to just, hey, man, we're just going to figure out the wide receiver position later. Here we go. The roster has too many holes to trade up. Carter is not worth what it would cost to move into the top 5. I'd be okay with someone other than Walker at 8 or moving back, but we could do worse than Walker in this draft. He has enough upside and versatility and would be a good fit for the defense we employ. Agreed. We still have to remember that people need to work inside the Evero system. So with that, we need guys that are going to work not only in his system, but in other systems, because if it doesn't work out this year, there's absolutely a scenario where the Carolina Panthers are looking for a new defensive coordinator, to be honest, before the end of the year. I can see a scenario where Evero gets let go after, say, week 14. Team's defense isn't really doing it. Offense is really working. But if that's the case, we're back to square one. Hopefully, whoever we pick it here is able to work in the next guy's system as well. But again, I'm going to keep holding out that it is going to be Evero. I very much disagree with the Carter is not worth what it would cost to move into the top 5. He is far and away the best edge prospect in this class, and he has the versatility of being a decent coverage player or disguised outside linebacker looks. Even though they are lazy, the pro comps to Micah Parsons are more accurate than not. This is absolutely worth the whatever 2 seconds to move up to get him. However, I agree in seeing the argument that it might not make sense to specifically for us to go get him, given the state of our current roster. I'm going to finish out just the next comment, make it nice and easy, because I got a bigger thing to go off of this. We are thin at or need upgrades at multiple positions like linebacker, defensive end, cornerback, safety, and even wide receiver. And if we trade away current and future draft capital, we sacrifice a chance to create a complete roster. I'm not saying Abdul Carter isn't a good player, but we don't have the luxury to risk valuable draft capital for one either. Okay, I'll raise you one better. You brought up a certain person that he might be compared to, Micah Parsons. Would Micah Parsons like a $45 million a year deal? I'll give up the 8th pick, and I'll give up, I think we have a 77, 74, 77, something like that. And I'll give that one up. And how about a 2nd next year for Micah Parsons? Hey, I'll give you all the money you need. You get a prime pick. You can still pick at 12 as the Cowboys go out there and get somebody. Or, hey, trade them both up and go get Cam Ward or go do something. I don't care. But if that's the case, you have 2 top 12 picks, obviously, where you could really, really change the outlook of the Cowboys long term. Whether or not that's grabbing 2 offensive players, an offense and a defense. Most likely going to probably go offense and defensive if the Cowboys were to take that offer. And of course, we would get Micah freaking Parsons. So I'm sold. I don't care. You know what? Big poopy doop. I absolutely agree with you. Let's go out there and just go get Micah Parsons. I think 8, 2nd next year, and the 70 whatever pick we have this year. I'm sold. But CyberJag does have some interesting things to talk about Jalon Walker. With such a glaring need at defensive tackle, I can't believe we took that linebacker from Boston College, him, way back in 2012. I don't want Walker either, but I'm not the guy you want making decisions for the franchise. I think Walker impresses Morgan enough to be the guy, and I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt. As would I. If he becomes the 8th pick, there's really nothing I can do about it. I have to hope and pray. Gotta, just absolutely put out as much positivity as I can and hope that this guy can actually do it. But at the same time, I can still really hope that we can go and make better decisions long term. I don't think, like I said, if we were to pose the Parsons trade, that we would need 2 firsts to get it done. I think a first this year would be able to get it done. So, hey, man, we can all be armchair GMs. I'm totally down with that. If you ever want to come on here, especially CyberJag or anybody else, and you want to come on here and talk ball, shoot, we might even do a mock draft together. But either way, make sure you hit me at the information below, because I want to bring you on. Let's talk ball. Roll coverage is for one thing and one thing only, sports for sports' sake, man. So with that, I want to know your thoughts. Is Jalon Walker really the guy that you want, or is there somebody else out there? I truly think Jalon Walker is going to be dynamic as a 49er, as a Raven, as a Ram. Hopefully it's not as a Carolina Panthers, because just truly, I don't think he's going to work in the system with the need that we have. He's not a true edge rusher, and his middling coverage ability isn't the best either. So make sure you subscribe, If you love this, make sure you share it to others. I cannot appreciate you guys enough. Hopefully you guys have a great rest of the day. My name is Nick. This has been Roll Coverage. Peace.
The best way to get fired, though, if you're Dave, is to not putting points on the board.